namaste. We feel some kind of way, something about when we say we love, we really love. We see you, we care. Please be yourself while you're here. That's exactly what keeps me coming back. Some kind of way, something about when we say we love, we really love. We see you, we care. Please be yourself while you're here. That's exactly what keeps me coming back. Namaste. We feel some kind of way, something about when we say we love, we really love. We see you, we care. Please be yourself while you're here. That's exactly what keeps me coming back. That's exactly what keeps me coming back. That's exactly what keeps me coming back. One more time. Here at Namaste, we feel some kind of way, something about when we say we love, we really love. We see you, we care. Please be yourself while you're here. That's exactly what. That's exactly what. That's exactly what keeps me coming back. Oh.
Woo, yes,
Thank you, Namaste.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Namaste. And yes, thank you for coming back. Ooh, I just feel the hallelujah in me right now. Yes. So we are so glad you're here to join us, whether you're here in person or online, love streaming. Thank you for being here. You are in our sanctuary. We are in the sanctuary together. And so if you are new, thank you for being here, and if you are a returning guest, we welcome you back. Namaste is a radically welcoming community. We believe that all paths lead to an awakening. We are here collectively revealing that love is the nature of who we already are. Yes, who we already are. And if I haven't introduced myself yet, my name is Reverend Veronica, and I'm the staff minister here at Namaste, and so thank you for being here. Yes. So in case you're wondering who we are, or maybe you might have forgot, we're here to remind you. That's why we come here, to remember who we are. Yes. So let's read this together. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you, which is love, truth, light, and peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we recognize that we are one. Namaste. Yes, thank you. And as you entered, you may have received a prayer card to fill out while you're here if you have prayer requests. If you didn't, you can raise your hand, and our welcome team can bring you a prayer card so that you can make a prayer request. And why do we do this? Because we know that prayer works. Yes, and so that is why we do this, so that we can support you in love and in prayer. We have amazing practitioners who pray on a regular basis on our prayer requests that are submitted every week. So thank you for submitting those prayer requests and giving our practitioners some work. some play. So I want to hand it over to Kong to lead us off with a song.
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you very much. Take all I have in these hands and multiply love, all that I am, and find my heart on the altar again. Set me on fire, set me on fire. Take all I have in these hands and multiply love, all that I am, and find my heart on the altar again. Set me on fire, set me on fire. Here I am, love, arms wide open. My life gracefully broken. This is a new monthly song we're going to start singing every week, so feel free to sing along and get it in your bones with me. We're all a little bit gracefully broken. My heart stands in all of love, stands strong, strong to the end. Oh, love will fulfill its purpose in me. Oh, love won't forsake me. Love will be with me. My heart stands in awe of love, and love stands strong to the end. Oh, love will fulfill this purpose in me. Oh, love won't forsake me. Love will be with. Here I am, love, arms wide open. Gracefully broken. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chuck Spencer, one of the practitioners here at Namaste, and I would like to invite our fellow practitioner, Ms. Candace Stein, to bring forth our candle to light it. This candle represents, the lighting of the candle represents to me the acknowledgement of that divine presence within each of us, the light of the world. affirmation is not there. Thank you. Thank you, Candace. Now, if you would join me in reading this month's affirmation. The love of the all good is through me and as me. That love is how I meet all I come in contact. Love radiates as all and flows as all. That love is perfect. Let us go into prayer. As we turn within, knowing that there is that one life, that one source of infinite love emanating in, through, and as each of us, we know that we are one, with it, that we're each an individualized expression of that divine presence within. I know and accept that as we come together today that we are in that divine presence of Spirit, in that infinite love, infinite peace, and infinite joy of Spirit. I know that as we move forward through our service today, that we are being divinely guided and supported and uplifted in Spirit, being nurtured by this infinite love of Spirit. I know that we are one in that divine presence which supports us continuously throughout each and every day, each and every experience we may encounter as we navigate through this experience of life. I know it blesses our service and all those who are supporting our service, our beloved speaker, our beloved Reverend Bobby, Reverend Veronica, all the practitioners, all the board members who support our service and support our community, all the technical people and all of the greeters and those who are supporting each of us as we come together today. I know that the practitioners support us through their prayer and their inner work, acknowledging that we are one with that. We are unique, individualized expressions of that oneness of Spirit. I know that we are blessed, and so wonderfully blessed as we come together today. And knowing that this is so, I do give thanks that it is so, and so it is. Amen. Now I'd like to invite our board president, Susan Kallick, to come up and share with us what's the events of this coming week.
Thank you, Chuck. And before I go into the announcements, I'm going to invite all of you to step across the aisle and say hello to one another, but listen to the music, and when it stops, go back to your seats, because I know what a friendly group you are, and it's hard to wrangle you back. So say hello to one another.
When the Spirit in you meets the Spirit in me, when the Spirit in you meets the Spirit in me, it's so easy. It's so easy. It's so easy. Easy to love. When the Spirit in you, when the Spirit in you, the Spirit in me, so easy. It's so easy. It's so easy. Oh yeah. Easy to love. Easy to love. Easy to love. The Spirit in me, and the Spirit in you meets the Spirit in me. So easy. All right, we're on. It's so easy. It's so easy. Easy to love.
Good afternoon, Namaste. I invite you to join me in, sorry, I've had a cold for a while and I've got brain freeze. I invite you to join me in reading our mission statement. I learn practical science of mind tools and practice in a loving, connective, and vibrant community to reveal my power and change my life. And how do we do this? We awaken to the truths of who we are. We realize these truths, we transform our lives, and we repeat this process over and over again, each time at a deeper level. Our power statement, it's a little different than it used to be. We are a place of connection, healing, and unity. Hashtag we are Namaste. Hashtag this stuff works. So, due to the changes in the mandates and requirements regarding masks, starting next Sunday, May 8th, we are making masks optional here at Namaste. We do recommend that those of you that have an underlying condition or are immune compromised to continue to wear masks, or if you just feel more comfortable that way, please continue to wear them. We're also going to provide color-coded stickers that you will receive when you come in, red, yellow, and green, so that you can let people know how comfortable you are with them being close to you. Red, you want them to social distance. Yellow, they can come close, but no hugging. And green, come hug me. So that'll start next week, May 8th. For spiritual support during the week, we have our weekly morning 7 a.m. calls put on by the practitioners. Join them for prayer, support, connection. And then on the second Wednesday of the month in the evening and on the fourth Monday at 10 a.m., there is the grief support group, The Safe Place. We'd like to give a thank you out to Nikki Freeman and Jesse Keeler for the wonderful class, This Thing Called You, that they presented. It was a great class. I also want to give a shout out to Sherry Edwards, who is here, our admin assistant, just for her fluidity and flexibility in moving through the changes we're implementing in our office. And I also want to give a thank you to our congregation, because as you give money to us with the law of circulation, we give money to others, and this month we'll be donating money to the Interval House, which supports families that suffer from abuse, and they help them find places and get on with a new life. Now I'm going to invite Rev Veronica up.
Hello, hello. You know, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago how Sunday service and Wednesday service was like a staple in my life, and it has been, and it still is, for 20, 25 years. And Sunday and Wednesdays were like signposts that kept guiding me through my week. And so it made such a huge difference in my life because sometimes I'd go dragging myself into church in not a really good place, right? And so if it was Tuesday and I was not in a good place again, did I have to wait all the way till Sunday? So Wednesday is like a middle of the week pick-me-up. And that's why I'm excited to be hosting Digging Deeper, because it's an offer for us to meet up again on Zoom and get that spiritual food that helps nourish our soul, to help us take on the day and walk through life. And so this week, coming up, this Wednesday, May 4th, we have Michael Alvarez, and he's a hypnotherapist. And he's used hypnotherapy to assist people in many ways for weight loss. He's helped Olympic athletes, and people become more successful in their endeavors. And so he's been doing this for over 25 years. And this week we're going to talk about, given what's been going on in the last 2.5 years, and as we feel into, do I feel safe, taking off, my mask, or what do I feel safe doing? That's what he wants to address. How can I feel safe in a world of continuous change? Because that's what we're in. When we see, the war, when we see gas prices, and so all the different changes that are going on in this world, how can I internally feel safe and secure? So that's a topic that we're going to discuss. It's not going to be just one person talking. It's going to be a discussion. So I invite you to come join us this Wednesday to see Michael Alvarez. Thank you so much. Yes, yes. Yes, I love Wednesdays. I love Wednesdays. And we're going to move into our meditative song. And I just want to thank Des and Kong for sharing their soul with us through music. So thank you so much. And as we move into this meditative song, we just request that you refrain from clapping so that we can go right into our meditation. Thank you.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world filled with chaos and noise. I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said. And right here in this holy silence, I find God. I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world filled with chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said. And right here in this holy silence, I find God. I find God. I find myself. I find myself.
Thank you, Kong and Des. That was beautiful. I've heard the term being authentic or authenticity used by different people over the years, and I was wondering, what really does that term refer to? I mean, I'm sure everyone has their own idea about what authenticity or being authentic really means. So I wanted to share a few thoughts on being authentic. from on the 5 qualities, from an article I read. It was the 5 qualities of being an authentic person. It was written by Christopher Connors, an author, executive coach, and emotional intelligence speaker. And he starts off by referring to a quote by Brene Brown, and I'm sure some of us recognize that name. She stated, to be authentic, we must cultivate the courage to be imperfect and vulnerable. We have to believe that we are fundamentally worthy of love and acceptance, just as we are. I've learned that there is no better way to invite more grace, gratitude, and joy into our lives than by mindfully practicing authenticity. Authenticity is about presence, living in the moment with conviction and confidence, and staying true to yourself. An authentic person puts the people around them at ease, like a comforting old friend who welcomes us in and makes us feel at home. There's never any doubt or questioning of the integrity of an authentic individual. Their behavior in terms of ethics and morals is as predictable as the snow during the winter time in Minnesota. You know what you're going to get. Being authentic is defined as being not false or copied, but by being genuine and real, representing one's true nature or beliefs, true to oneself. So what are the 5 qualities of an authentic person? Well, number 1, be true to yourself. Oscar Wilde was quoted as saying, "Be yourself, everyone else is already taken." So how true, since this is so true because we each are an individual and unique expression of that divine presence of spirit within, and no two are identical in any way or have ever been. Being true to yourself means that you are an honest, trustworthy person who lives by a code of morals and values, living a life of integrity. Number 2, think inward but look outward. Authentic people are deep thinkers who generate thought power from within and transpose it outward to add value to their lives, to the lives of others. By being careful of how their actions influence others, they act with good intentions and motives and are admired for their authenticity. As we navigate through life, we choose how we influence others by our thought, words, and actions, and how true that is, because we do have influence over other people even when we're unaware of it. Number 3, the way you treat people is with kindness and respect. We all feel terrible when we are disrespected and even violated, including our boundaries being violated. Hopefully the emotion stirs up a desire within us to act with kindness and love and not reciprocate with hurtful actions. By being kind to those around you, watch how radically your life begins to change. For one thing, the simple act of being kind does boost your happiness, even if slightly. It's known as the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And number 4 is live in the moment and be a great listener. Living in the moment means concentrating on exactly what is happening in your life at that precise time. Being a great listener is not just suited for conversations with our loved ones or neighbors. It's about listening to the very important voice inside our heads. And I think that he's referring to that inner voice of spirit. Listen to your intuition. Do what your heart is telling you to do. That's what an authentic person does. It also opens up new opportunities to learn from spirit through others. And this kind of ties in with the number 5, which is open-mindedness and fairness to opportunities and people. Open-mindedness is the antithesis of anxiety, stress, and intolerance. It means that we are fair-minded and willing to entertain new ideas and people, and all they bring to the forefront. When it comes to opinions, people, and events, they are always open to listening. Authenticity asks that we judge free of bias, that we're honest and are impartial to all affairs. I think I'm getting a better understanding of what really authenticity and being authentic really is. And it's the basic teachings of our science of mind, that being one with that which is truly within is also being with that one which is within, truly within all people. Namaste.
Thank you, Chuck. You were 43 when you got the news. Life will be changing, nothing we can do. The clock is ticking now. All I can think about is knowing I have to move on without you somehow. And I just can't believe that you're the one who's keeping it together. Hold my hand and say, it's okay to cry, it's okay to fall apart. You don't have to try to be strong when you are not. And it may take some time to make sense of all your thoughts, but don't ever fight your tears, 'cause there is freedom in every drop. Sometimes the only way to heal a broken heart is when we fall apart. You asked me to sing some songs that I wrote, but I can barely speak, can barely play a note. And all my tears rush in, falling on my strings, and make the sound of these progressions have a different ring. And I hate to say goodbye, knowing this will be the last time we're together. As you close your eyes and say, it's okay to cry, it's okay to fall apart. You don't have to try to be strong when you are not. And it may take some time to make sense of all your thoughts, but don't ever fight your tears, 'cause there is freedom in every drop. Sometimes the only way to heal a broken heart is when we fall apart. You've got the gift of mercy, don't ever think it's strange. Not a curse, but it's a blessing to feel other people's pain. Always love without condition, and trust with all your heart. There's a healing in the story of your scars. It's okay to cry, it's okay to fall apart. You don't have to try to be strong when you are not. And it may take some time to make sense of all your thoughts, but don't ever fight your tears, 'cause there's freedom in every drop. Sometimes the only way to heal a broken heart is when we fall apart. Sometimes the only way to heal a broken heart is when we fall apart. Sometimes the only way to heal a broken heart is when we fall apart.
Good afternoon, namaste. So, this month is all about emotion. So, if you're nervous about it, you should be. You're going to see me walk out a little early today. I actually am recovering from COVID, so I'm staying out of precaution away from everyone, which is why you see folks around me. So I just ask, if you do see me walk up to me, just please practice social distance and make sure you wear your mask. So this month is about emotion. From beginning to end, even the opening song is about how, called Gracefully Broken, is about the fact that the only way light gets in is through the cracks. We must break open. So I'm very excited today to be able to bring to this service a special guest. Let me just get her up here. Hi, Terry.
Hello, everybody.
Dr.
Welcome.
Terry. And I'm just going to keep you up here for a moment, Dr. Terry, while I just tell folks a little bit about you.
Okay.
Dr. Terry Daniel is a hospice and hospital-trained clinical chaplain. She's interfaith chaplain. She's certified in death, dying, and bereavement by the Association of Death, Education, and Counseling, and in trauma support by the International Association of Trauma Professionals. The focus of her work is to assist dying and grieving individuals to discover a more spiritually spacious understanding of death, grief, and beyond. Now, one of the reasons that her work sticks out to me is because I'm really, really interested in religion, religious trauma, and how religion affects how we think about everything. And in this particular case today, she's going to present how religious trauma affects how we grieve. And that, to me, it is so critically important, her work. Besides today, she's also going to be at our Digging Deeper on June 1st. So she's going to present a bit of that, and then you'll get a workshop on that June 1st date. So without further ado, Dr. Terry Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's so nice to do a Zoom where I'm actually looking at a live audience. Can you all hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if the sound is okay. Great, excellent. So 20 minutes is pretty short. I'm going to probably go pretty fast. What I'm going to be talking to you about today is the impact of, quote, bad theology on the experience of loss, trauma, and grief. And why is this important? Why is it important to understand healthy versus unhealthy religious coping? And it's very simple, really. Any of you who have ever had a loss and you're grieving have probably had at least one friend come up to you and say, well, you should go see a grief counselor. That's the go-to for everybody, right? And what I have observed in my 14 years of doing this work is that therapists, general, marriage and family counselors, psychotherapists, whatever kind of therapist you go to, are not generally trained in grief, and they are almost never trained in spiritual care related to grief. Conversely, if you go to a spiritual person or a clergy person, they are very likely not trained in psychology, group dynamics, counseling techniques, and grief. Grief study, grief theory is a very specialized field, and you can't just assume that every counselor or every clergy person knows how to address grief. So that is where we begin to get the complications that come from religious belief. So my work is on grief and loss and how religious beliefs complicate the healing process. So I am a hospice chaplain. I've been in hospice for 14 years. And throughout my training and my work experience, I noticed again and again and again, people facing traumatic losses. Perhaps it's a patient in a hospital who just got a life-threatening diagnosis. They find out that they're going to die in 3 months. And all their childhood religious beliefs, or maybe not childhood, perhaps chosen beliefs that they embraced as an adult, start coming up because death is the ultimate existential question, isn't it? So they will say things to me like, well, now that I'm looking at dying, I'm wondering if I'm okay with God. Am I a sinner? Am I going to be punished? Is hell real? I never went to church. What happens with that is it makes their facing death process much more full of anxiety than it has to be. I'm going to give you a lot of examples as we go on. But what happens with loss is there's so many different types of losses involved. So let's say, as an example, your spouse is dying. And when that death occurs, you lose more than just the body of that person in your physical life. Everything changes in your life. If you were a caregiver, you lose your identity as a caregiver. You're no longer a wife or a husband. You may lose your financial security because that person was a breadwinner and now that income is gone. You may lose your house. You may lose some of your friends. What often happens with couples is when you become a widow, you start hanging out with other widows, and the couples kind of push you outside of their circles because death is contagious and they don't want it to happen to them. So there are many, many kinds of losses, and we have a lot of different ways of coping with them. What happens when religion comes up is it starts pushing on all those deeply embedded ideas that we got when we were 5 years old and were first indoctrinated into the religion of our childhood, of our family, of our community, and of our culture. And let me go back just a little bit to talk about why religion even exists, or why loss is so important in religion. So the creation of most religious doctrines and structures is really based on fear of death. Look at, imagine that we are primitive people sitting around the campfire and we kill animals for food. So we see death all the time. We create taboos about blood. Things happen, people get sick and die, children die, the crops don't grow. There's all kinds of loss happening. So we create mythologies and stories and meaning-making tools to explain why these losses happen. So most religious belief is based on how to cope with loss. Why did the crops not grow? Why did the baby die? Why did a flood destroy our village? And if you've studied, multicultural mythology from all over the world, every culture has its own creation story. They almost all have flood stories. This is universal. Human beings have to make meaning about loss. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is a couple of concepts that you probably never heard before. Embedded versus deliberative theology, definitions of toxic theology, and some case examples. And if you're interested in this topic, on June 1st, I'm going to be doing this as a detailed workshop so we can go more in depth on this. So let's talk about embedded versus deliberative theology. Most of us were given an image and a story about God when we were 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. And of course, at that age, children embrace fantasy without question. You can tell a 3-year-old that their dog can fly and that, magic people will come out of the forest and grant them wishes and turn pumpkins into carriages and all that. Children take that stuff literally. So when they tell you, the biblical creation stories when you're 3 years old, you believe it. There's no reason why you would question it because you haven't come to the age of reason at about 7 yet. So for most people who were given a religious story as children, we never question this. We just grow up and we go through our lives with that story sort of settled into a foundational sense of reality for us, and we never think about it again. Unless you're somebody like me who was always curious about theology, probably Bobby was too, and made a concerted effort when I was 12 to start looking into this, but most people don't do that until they're faced with loss. So here you are learning all this when you're 5, and now you're 55, and you're diagnosed with a life-threatening disease, or your child dies, or your spouse dies, or there's a horrible disaster, a hurricane comes and blows away your house and your town, or fire, any of these things. And that's when you start to think about it, because religious thought is triggered by loss. So then here you are with this life-threatening disease or this unexpected death, and your first question is, why did it happen? I thought God loved me. I thought if I was a good person, that I would be protected from this sort of thing. I do all the things. I go to church and I tithe and I follow the teachings of Jesus or whatever teachings, and that was supposed to protect me, and it didn't. This is what I see every single day in my work, especially in the hospital. I don't see it in hospice too much, but this complicates the grief process. So we grieve when we're faced with our own death and our own, terminal illness. And we also grieve when we lose another person. So there's grief going on all around. And there is a normal trajectory of healing in grief. So if your 87-year-old mother dies, this is an expected death. We knew this was coming, and we can process it along a certain trajectory of healing where we gradually return to balance and restoration. There are many, many, many things that can complicate that process. An unexpected death, violent death, a socially unacceptable death, long list. One of the things that's not very typically on that list is unhealthy, toxic religious beliefs. So I'm going to jump right into some examples here, and I think that will illustrate better what I mean. So there was a case in the hospital where a 2-year-old had brain cancer. This child was on life support. With life support, it doesn't keep you alive forever. At some point, your body, your cells cannot even handle the oxygen that's being pumped into your lungs, and people do die on life support. It's not a guarantee to keep that body functioning forever. So it was time to take this 2-year-old off life support. The family was Pentecostal, and they had a whole prayer chain going on around the country. Everybody was praying, and the doctor said to them, we need to have a conversation about taking the baby off life support and preparing for end of life. And they said, oh, no, no. We cannot have that conversation because God will hear us, and then God will know that our faith isn't strong enough, that we're not having enough faith in these prayers, that we're asking God to save this baby and return him to health. And so, of course, the baby died. And for a grief counselor, what I deal with is this family, after this happened, here's what they've got. They've got the grief of losing the baby, of course, but now they've got a crisis of faith. Why didn't God listen? Why didn't our prayers work? We were always taught that this was supposed to work. What did we do wrong? Why are we being punished? Is God punishing us? And this is a segue to another example. A woman that I met at a conference, all of her children had died in unrelated events over the last 25 years, all completely disconnected from each other, separate, unrelated events. And she said to me these exact words, I thought nothing like this would ever happen to me if I was a good Christian and I pleased God. If I only knew what I have done wrong to cause this to happen, I could correct it, and then maybe I wouldn't be suffering so much. So that's a bad theology too, and it's not just Christian. There's a lot of law of attraction theology that says this as well. You know, if you think the right thoughts and do positive affirmations and don't let negative self-talk get in the way of your positive affirmations, you will manifest and create everything that you want. This is not true. It doesn't work that way. I don't know why things happen the way they do. I would never claim to know. And this is one of the problems that we have with a lot of religious structures, is they do tell you why. They say, well, yeah, that happens because you didn't say enough positive affirmations. You did not think positively enough, or you did not pray hard enough. And I'm just giving myself my 2-minute warning because I only have 2 more minutes to talk. And so there's so much to say about this. I hope you will come to my workshop on June 1st. I also want to let you know about a conference that's coming up in July in Portland, Oregon, called the Conference on Death, Grief, and Belief. And it's a whole weekend talking about this very topic, about how our beliefs, wide range, long, big spectrum of spiritual and religious beliefs, how they can impact our experience of loss and trauma. So if you'd like information on that, perhaps you can tell Bobby that it's okay to send me your email address, or just go to deathgriefandbelief.com. So in closing, I just want to say that keep your hearts open to all possibilities of thinking. There are no absolute truths in the universe. Maybe perhaps, 10 years of theology school, the best thing I learned was how to say, I don't know. Do I know that there's an afterlife? Yes, I absolutely believe that because I've experienced it. But do I say that the afterlife, as I understand it, is exactly the same for everybody? No, I don't know what your afterlife is going to be like. So that's just one example of the kinds of beliefs that we tend to get really plugged into absolutism, and it's really orthodoxy. And in some cases, it's literalism. So these are the things that can get us in trouble. And some of the things that we want to look out for, if I can take another minute, are things like feeling shame about normal thoughts, normal feelings, anger, grief, sexuality, jealousy. These are all normal human experiences, but a lot of religions tell us that these are sinful. So creating a sense of shame about being a normal human is one of the things to watch out for. Fear of hell and divine punishment, of course, is always something that you're going to find that's a warning sign of toxic theology. And guilt or shame about failed prayers. Yet another thing that we have to look inside ourselves and see where we have these beliefs and how they may be interfering with healthy processing of normal human experiences like loss and grief. And on that note, I'm exactly at 5:20, so I believe it's time for me to stop. And I thank you all so much, and I hope I will see you on June 1st.
Dr. Terry, I'd like to ask you,
Thank you.
I jumped, can you hear me okay, Dr. Terry?
Yes.
So I jumped in here because I didn't want her to jump off. There's a really good story in our movement that you kind of touched on with affirmations. For those of you that may or may not be familiar, Dr. Peggy Bassett from Huntington Beach Center for Spiritual Living years and years ago became diagnosed and eventually passed from a terminal disease. And the community was really upset because she wasn't able to be healed. And one of the things she said is healing is not necessarily the obvious thing, the physical thing. She said she lost her balance, and so she realized she needed to rest more. She lost her voice, therefore she needed to listen more. And so really, I think even at Namaste, what we've been doing is really looking at healing isn't always what we think it is, and focusing on some bigger picture in the whole sort of process of life. How does that touch you?
That makes so much sense. And if any of you are familiar with a little series of books called the Emmanuel books, in one of those books it says, is it true that all things can be healed? And Emmanuel says, yes, if you understand that death is also a form of healing. Right? So yes, healing doesn't mean that it's going to be the exact outcome that you want it to be. The outcome might be that you die. The outcome might be that you get better, but something else happens. Your marriage ends, or you move to another city, or you lose your job, but then you get another job. It's a constant cycle of gaining and losing, right? I mean, this is what Buddhism teaches us, that everything slips through your fingers. And if we can understand that that is how it works and that is how it is always going to work, no amount of prayer or belief or piety is going to change that. I suppose you could say that that is an absolute truth. It's certainly one of the pillars of Buddhism. In fact, it's the first pillar, suffering exists. So really the teaching is to allow everything to unfold as it unfolds and recognize that it is all healing and it is all teaching.
That is beautiful. So I just want to just invite all of you to express your gratitude for Dr. Terry Daniel for coming today. Thank you, Dr. Terry. It's some of the things we're going to talk about, some conversations this month that we're going to delve into that I'm actually excited about, and I'm going to just say this really quick. Anytime you make an intention like this, I have to be careful because it's all going to show up just so I can talk all about it. Before I move to our song, I wanted to make a special announcement. Lubin Martinez is somebody who's been coming into the community. Lubin, could you just kind of raise your hand? And this, I've mentioned Lubin before. In fact, he showed up one time on a Sunday, and he introduced me to his own very unique healing practice, in which, I'm just going to describe it in my own words. It is a combination of kind of psychic and energy work. And that's the best I can say for now. And Janine and I actually went through one of his healing sessions, and I can tell you that, wow, I am blessed. I am blessed. We're going to open this up to the community. He's going to be doing those healing sessions on Wednesdays and Sundays. Beginning this week, you'll see it in our newsletter, and you'll hear me talk more about it next Sunday. So if you're interested, it's so reasonable for that first session. It's like $25 for the first session. Anyone that's interested in a healing. Now, let me just go back to what Dr. Terry and I just said. Healing isn't necessarily always what I think it's going to be, right? So it's an opportunity that has been donated by our friend Lubin, and I'm really, really grateful. Thank you, Lubin. So look for more information in the newsletter this week. And back to Dr. Terry, don't miss this workshop on June 1st as part of Rev Veronica's Digging Deeper. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kong and Des.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. Come on, sing it now. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stay stand by me. Thank you, Namaste. Thank you.
Go. How are we doing? There we are. A delayed whoo. Yes. That's like one of my favorite songs. It's an awesome song. Thank you so much. Isn't that beautiful? Yes? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. All right. What a beautiful service. Thank you, Reverend Bobby, for bringing Dr. Terry to share with us. That was some really lot to think about, yes? Really, we could really go deep on that. So I'm excited to have her on June 1st. And one of the things that she said that I really liked was about examining our beliefs and where they came from. And I love that about life, is that we can stop and say, where did that come from? Is that truly my belief? Or where did it come from? And that's what I love about our center here, because we get to do that together. Yes. So now it is time for giving, our time of giving and tithing. And remember, when we're talking about tithing and giving, we're not just only talking about finances. We're talking about our time, our treasures, our gifts, as well as financially. And so we are open here at Namaste to work as we work together to create Namaste as a community that continues to give, like we give to Interval House and donate to Interval House and other places within our the surrounding communities. As we give, as we receive, it allows us to give, and that's what I love. And so I'm going to invite you too, maybe during this week, to investigate your beliefs around giving and receiving. Those are always good to take a look at and stop and take a look at, because maybe we were taught things as a child, or maybe in our childhood religion about giving, and maybe we have stories about receiving or not being worthy or anything of that nature. But what I know about God is that God loves to give and God loves to receive, all in that cyclical nature. So as we give, we are also opening ourselves to receive. Are you ready to receive? Yes. Yes, I love it. So from that place of yes, from that place of gratitude, from that place of I am ready to receive, I want you to take your tithe, your gift, your treasure, hold it up to your heart, as we tune in to the Holy Spirit within, as we close our eyes and bless this gift that we call energy, that circulates through us, as us, in us, and all around us. And yes, I am so grateful for the ability to give, yes, that which has been so freely given to me. And through this giving, I am open and ready to receive my good. I accept it right here and right now, in this moment, as my life. As we all say together, and so it is, and so it shall be. And we're going to read our abundance affirmation together. All right. Let's keep our hand on our heart, just keeping that connection. The abundance of all good surrounds me and operates through me. I accept God's plenty as mine, and of Namaste. I accept it with gratitude and joy and use it with wisdom as the inlet and outlet to all that God is. I affirm this as true, and so it is. Yes. Thank you. And before we go into our benediction, I wanted to say a few thank yous to everyone that makes it possible for this service to come together. First, I want to thank our speaker, if she's still listening in. Dr. Terry, let's give her another hand. Thank you so much. Yes. And I want to thank our musicians, Kong and Des, and on sound and technology, Casey. Thank you so much, Casey. Chuck, thank you for that amazing invocation and meditation. Thank you, Chuck. Candace, thank you for holding the light there for our service. Such an important job, yes. And for Susan, thank you for being our Board of Trustee on duty today. Our welcome team, Julie and Janine. I know you're back there somewhere. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you, thank you. And for everyone that contributes to our service, known and unknown, we thank you so much. Yes. And now it is time for one of my favorite times. It's time for our benediction. I'm going to read it here from my phone. We're going to have the slide come up. All right. So let's have everybody stand so we can read this with absolute conviction from a place of knowing. You know, there we are. Okay. You know, I just got a new phone. Can you tell? I can't find anything. Let's see. There we go. Here it is. All right. Okay, so when we say this, we're saying this from a place of wholeness, truth, and conviction. Can we do it? Yes. All right. Here we go. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. What is it? It is this thing called life. What is it? Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is all that I am. Life is all that we are. I accept it. I am it. And I share it with all. How? Just the way it appears and just the way it appears not. I need a drum roll, please. Woo! Yes, yes, yes. Are we ready for the most important 3 words? Thank you, life. Yes, and so it is, and so it is. Woo! Amen. Take it on. Yes.
When the walls come tumbling down, I choose joy, I choose joy. When the walls come spinning around, I choose joy, I choose joy. When my heart won't seem to move, when my music's lost the groove, when I have too much to prove, I choose joy, I choose joy. When my hate is all that I see, I choose joy, I choose joy. When my fear won't let me be, I choose joy, I choose joy. When betrayal and lies hide the light from my eyes, I look up to the skies and I choose joy, I choose joy. Woo! Joy, 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 I choose joy, I choose joy. Oh, joy, 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 I choose joy. When the walls come tumbling down, sing it, I choose joy. When the world stops spinning around, I choose joy, I choose joy. When my heart won't seem to move, when my music's lost the screw, when I have too much to prove, I choose joy, I choose joy. When hate is all that I see, I choose joy. When fear won't let me be, I choose joy, I choose joy. When betrayal and lies hide the light from my eyes, oh, I look up to the skies and I choose joy, I choose joy. Joy, 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 I choose joy. Joy, 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 I choose joy.
so much for joining us in service today. Remember, this week, I choose joy. Have a good week. Thank you.